Armageddon would overtake the degenerative peoples of the world and all creation on the final day of the 13th. Some years ago I had the opportunity to do a fairly intensive tour of the main Mayan sites in Central America. And I was always, of course, fascinated by this preoccupation with the year 2012, which our society seems to have been taken hold of, almost like an Asian flu pandemic. And I said at one stage, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I'm far from a person who doesn't think we're facing very tough times ahead, which we are. But I said to myself, what is it about this 2012, and where can we get down to the bottom of this whole situation? Now, of course, the research into the Mayan culture was given a great help by the Spanish missionaries who came there 4 or 5 centuries ago, because they burned most of the very extensive Mayan libraries, and only a few things have survived, like inscriptions, obviously, on the various stelae, and books like the Popol Vuh, which to give him credit, was saved by a Spanish priest. But for the most part, the records were destroyed, so we have very little evidence to go on, and that's why so much of the information is tentative and hypothetical rather than hard and fast. But given what evidence we do have, what are we going to say about this situation here? 2012, I suppose it used to all send shivers up our spines. The end of the Mayan calendar, the end of the world. Now, when I set out to try and track this thing down, the first trace I can find of any suggestion that the 21st of December or the 23rd of December, as you know, there are 2 dates, depending on which method of calculation you use. The first suggestion that 21st of December 2012 could have any sort of apocalyptic implications for us or for the planet was in a book by Michael Coe, The Maya, which is a very, very well-known book. It's published, obviously, 33 years ago, which is an apocalyptic-sounding period of time in itself. However, I just put the quotation there. There is a suggestion that Armageddon would overtake. You notice I underlined here, this is my underlining, not his. Because this is all he says about it, and this is all he says about it in those terms. There is a suggestion that Armageddon would overtake the degenerative peoples of the world and all creation on the final day of the 13th Boptun. Thus our present universe would be annihilated on the 23rd of December 2012, when the great cycle of the long count reaches completion. Now, that's the first time it's appeared, ever. And of course, as you know, the long count, the Mesoamerican long count calendar is so called because they had 2 other calendars as well, used for measuring short periods. So the long count is simply one that extends over hundreds and thousands of years rather than spheres of time more appropriate to the human lifespan. So the long count obviously means simply that it's meant to register long distances of time. Not to bore you with this, but it's useful to have some little moment of familiarity with the Mayan calendar because it's so alien to ours. It worked in units of 20. We work in units of 10. We have a decimal system. America was one of the first countries to adopt the decimal system in its coinage. It's one of the last countries to adopt the decimal system in any other area of its life. However, in Ireland, where I come from, been a member of the European community for nearly 40 years, but we always, of course, use miles in measurement on the roads. So there was a grant from the European Union way back in the mid-70s to change all the road signs from miles into kilometres. And of course, nobody in those days used kilometres. So when you saw a sign up doubling, X kilometres, people became very proficient at mentally dividing by 0.6 in their heads to find out how far they were from anywhere. So I guess that experience awaits the United States. Are we in trouble? Oh dear. Well, turn it off then. Let's adopt a radical solution. right there. Now, we in the decimal system work in units of 10. They worked a system based on the unit of 20. And 20 days made up one UINAL. Sometimes it's spelled WINAL, but that's more or less the Mayan month, the 20-day month. And 18 of these winals made a tun, T-U-N, or 360 days, which was the Mayan year. Now, obviously, before you attribute any magical properties to the Mayan calendar, you realize straight away it's going to be way out and very imperfect. The problem with doing any calendar is that the rotation of the Earth on its axis, which gives us a day, does not divide evenly into the orbit of the Earth around the Sun. So consequently, you can't get any neat solution. All you can get is as close to the right figure as you can, which is roughly 365 and a quarter days, with additions every 4 years, and further additions every 400 years. But anyway, the Mayans were really out on the length of the year. So 20 days, one winal, 18 winals made a tun, and 20 tuns made one katun, which would be roughly 19 years. And 20 katuns equaled one baktun, or 144,000 days, which is 395 years. And after each baktun, the numbers are reset. So the baktun is the one we're really interested in today, because we're about to reach the end of the 13th baktun in 2.5 years from now. And that's when all hell is supposed to break loose, at least according to Michael Cole. Now today, I decided yesterday it would be nice to put this down. In the Mayan calendar, this is to console you if you're ever tired of writing dates on checks and things. Think of how bad it would be if you were using the Mayan calendar, because today's date in the Mayan calendar would be written 12 baktuns, 19 katuns, 16 tuns, 8 winals, and 15 days since the creation of the world. So at least our system is more succinct and compact than that. So that's today's date in the Mayan calendar. And the days 13 down here in the bottom is either the 21st of December or the 23rd of December in the year 2012. Now, what's special about that date? I'll make 2 points briefly. The 21st or the 23rd of December 2012 is the time when the date's going to be reset to 13. It's like the, odometer, speedometer, the clock on your car. When you pass 100,000 miles, everything resets back to 0. You start all over. That's all it is. It's just the time when the calendar is going to reset to zeros. It's going to reset to 0 and 13 and 4 zeros.